Pre-K, it's Morah Frumee. I'm going to start by reading Sammy Spider's first Passover. Passover is just how we say Pesach in English. Now before I start, I want you to make a web. And with the help of your mommies or your older sisters or brothers, whoever helps you, I want you to draw a picture or write what you remember from last Pesach. And then we're going to read this book, and when we're done, I want you to fill in what you learned new from this book about Pesach. Sammy Spider's First Pesach by Sylvia A. Rouse. This is a book about shapes. Sammy Spider was fast asleep in his high web on the Shapiro's living room ceiling. As the warm spring sun shone through an open window, Sammy snuggled deeper into his cozy web. A sudden swishing noise startled him awake. "Mother," he screamed, "a monster has broken our web." Sammy scurried across the ceiling and hid in a corner. Was it a monster? Mrs. Spider hurried to comfort him. "Don't worry, Sammy. That monster is called a broom, and Mr. Shapiro is using it to dust the ceiling." Each spring, the Shapiros give their house a special cleaning to prepare for Passover. Springtime is a perfect time to make us a new web. "I don't know how to make a new web," Sammy said sadly. "I'm going to teach you," said his mother, giving him a big hug. "Will we celebrate Pesach too?" asked Sammy. "Silly little Sammy," laughed Mrs. Spider. "Spiders don't celebrate Pesach. Spiders spin webs. And we begin by spinning one thread. Then we spin a second, and then a third. And finally, we spin a fourth to make a square." But Sammy wasn't listening. "What is Mr. Shapiro putting on the table?" he asked. "That is called a matzah," Mrs. Spider replied. "Tonight is the first night of Pesach, and the Shapiros will have a special meal called a seder." Do you remember what a seder is? Then Mrs. Shapiro brought in a big platter with roasted eggs, a bone, parsley, and bitter herbs, and charoset. "That is called a seder plate, a ke'ara," Mrs. Spider explained. "The Shapiros will eat special food at their seder." "Do spiders eat special food for Pesach?" asked Sammy. "Silly little Sammy," answered his mother. "Spiders don't celebrate Pesach. Spiders eat flies and other insects to catch them as we spin in a web, and I need your help. Watch me attach a circle to the inside of our web." See, first we have a square, like the square matzah they had, and then there's a circle. But Sammy wasn't listening. He was hovering on a silky strand above the table, watching the Shapiros at their seder. Crunch went the matzah as Mr. Shapiro broke it in half. Sammy watched him wrap one of the broken pieces in a bright red napkin. When Josh wasn't looking, Mr. Shapiro hid it on top of the bookcase. Sammy climbed back to the ceiling. "Mother," he asked, "why did Mr. Shapiro hide the matzah?" "It's called the afikoman," Mrs. Spider answered, "and after the meal, Josh will try to find it. If he does, he'll get a prize." "What fun," Sammy asked. "Can I play too?" "Silly little Sammy," said his mother. "Spiders don't celebrate Pesach. Spiders spin webs. And I really need your help to spin a triangle around the circle." But Sammy wasn't listening. He looked longingly at the hidden afikoman. "All right," sighed Mrs. Spider. "You may watch the rest of the seder for a while." Sammy quickly crossed the ceiling and stopped right above the bookshelf. As Josh finished reciting the 4 questions, he listened as the family sang Pesach songs and took turns reading the story of Moshe, who led the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim. The Shapiros began their seder meal. Sammy had never seen so much food. At last, it was time to search for the afikoman. Sammy wished he could help, but he remembered his mother's words. Spiders don't celebrate Pesach. Swinging from strands of webbing, he watched as Josh searched every corner of the room. When Josh neared the bookshelf, Sammy got excited. Something shiny caught Josh's eye. It was an amazing little web with a beautiful Jewish star inside. "Wow," breathed Josh. As he went closer to look, he spotted the afikoman just below the glistening web. "Wow, I found it," he squealed. "You see, here's the circle. Then we have triangles and another triangle, and here's the square. All the shapes that we learned from the beginning." Sammy glowed with pride. "I did it, Mother. I helped Josh find the afikoman." And you also spun a beautiful web, Mrs. Spider answered. You used all the shapes that I taught you. In his excitement, Sammy didn't even know that he had spun a web. As he looked back at the bookshelf, he beamed. It was so easy, Mother. You made a square, and then a circle, and a triangle. Then you pass over with another triangle. And that's how spiders celebrate Passover. The end. I wonder what new things you learned from this book.